Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Nairobi Metropolitan Regional Debates knockout episode as we witness the ultimate showdown between Ofafa Jericho High School and St. Anne's Lioki High School under the motion of dissection that states African governments must adopt an alternative credentialing systems that recognize and validate skills acquired outside of formal education for better monetization. I know the motion is a bit wordy, but I'll read it again. African governments must adopt alternative credentialing systems that recognize and validate skills acquired outside of formal education for better monetization. Proposing this motion is Ofafa Jericho, and opposing this motion is St. Anne's Lioki. All the best to both teams on stage.
As Albert Einstein once stated, everybody is genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live for the entirety of its life believing it's foolish. African governments must adopt alternative credentialing systems that recognize and validate skills acquired outside formal education for better monetization. I, Rose Werimo, from the St. Anne's Lioki School, stand here to strongly and vehemently propose the motion. Let us begin with a definition of terms. First term, credentialing. This is the process of assessing someone's qualifications. Its purpose is to indicate your abilities to perform specific tasks. Secondly, monetization. Monetization is turning things into revenue-generating activities. And my third term is formal education. Formal education is an organized and regulated system of education which follows a curriculum. Yes. On to my first point. The African government mostly values formal education, completely disregarding the fact that psychology states that every human being is different. Every human being's ability to learn and comprehend academics is different. According to ChatGPT, credentialing someone while only viewing their formal education levels totally undermines the understanding of human diversity, totally undermines the details that make every single human being distinct. Let's take, for example, Richard Branson. Richard Branson suffered with dyslexia in school. He was unable to comprehend studies as other students were able. He ended up dropping out of school while he was only 16 years old, but he let his entrepreneurial spirit lead him. If he had let school bound him, if he had let this formal education define who he is, he wouldn't be where he is right now. He went forward to build a large conglomerate of many industries. Some of them are telecommunication, airlines, and music. If he had let academic validation define him, if he had let himself be limited by what he could do in school, do you really think he would be where he is right now? Ask yourself that. On to my second point. Using other credentialing systems helped in addressing skill gaps. According to www.shiftbase.com, formal education systems may not always align with the evolving requirements of industries and employers. Let's take, for example, the business industry. The business industry uses a lot of these influencers from TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube to do their marketing for them. These people, most of them have not gone to school, but they are able to do this. A well-renowned brand is like Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton uses a very renowned singer from South Korea, and his name is J-Hope. J-Hope has increased their visibility. He has increased their interaction with their audience by to 104.89%. I repeat, 104.89%. Now, let me ask you this. Do we really need to validate someone? Do we really need to credential someone according to their formal education? Rose Werimo, St. Anne's Lioki, thank you.
Let me first show this lady the reality. Rose Werimo, you said that Richard, you have used an example of a Richard. Richard was in school. He acquired that school from the formal setting. He did not acquire it outside. He was in school before. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kodika Jaili Anur from Great Ofafa Jericho, opposing this motion. Now, the motion is that African governments must adopt alternative credentialing systems that recognizes and validates skills acquired outside formal education for better monetization. Now let me define the technical terms in this motion. Government. So government, according to the History Book 1, it is a group of people given the responsibility to rule, administer, and control the affairs of a state or a certain place. Formal credentialing. It refers to the method of verifying and documenting individuals' qualifications, skills, or achievements in a particular skill, in a particular place of expertise. Formal education. This refers to structural systematic instruction provided by educational institutions such as schools, colleges, and universities, of course, under predetermined curriculum. Monetization. Monetization is the process of generating income out of a product. So now let me begin opposing this motion. First point, this system of credentialing does not have standardization. Ladies and gentlemen, it means that there is no standard for those skills, that as long as you have the skills, there is no that standard. Lack of standardization means that there is no quality assurance. There is no quality that we all need. So what we need is that we need a standard in what we can do for us to adopt this system. On to my second point, this system has high implementation costs. According to the Silo OAG, the South African's National Development Plan outlined extensive investments in technological skills, but it felt it was so slow. Why? Because it required a very high amount of money, and also it had a very negative perspective from the community. It also led to high unemployment rate. So we should not adopt this system simply because even in our current education system, the CBC recognizes it. We have those skills and they are recognized by the CBC. It is also expensive. It lacks standardization and lack of quality. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kodike Idogjaili from Great Ofafa, Jericho. Thank you.
Wow. I'd really like to get back to my opposition team here. You just said that Richard Branson did not get his skills outside there. We are not against formal education. We are just saying that the government should adopt credentialing systems for better monetization. Richard Branson dropped out of school when he was 16 years because he saw that the formal education is not going to work for him. You said there is no assurance that skills are going to work for us. Well, guess what? There is no assurance also that the formal education is going to work for all of us. A view attempt from St. Anne's Lioki strongly proposing the motion that states African governments must adopt credentialing systems that recognize and utilize skills outside formal education for better monetization. The good book says, I quote, "I have a purpose for you." Yes, indeed, he has a purpose for you. This leads to my first point. When the government decides to adopt these systems, you are going to find your purpose in your life. Why is it that the formal education only focuses on the A? Why is it that the formal education only focuses on the B? What about of us? Us who are not able to get A's, us who are not able to get C's. but with my skill, I can find a purpose in life. According to Wikipedia, one of the famous artists, Zachary Hettier, popularly known as ZHC, started out his YouTube channel to showcase his skills. Right now, he is the founder of Art Alliance, a community of artists who recreate old drawings and give out tips on art. He has 21.5 million subscribers on his YouTube channel. As we all know, the more subscribers you have, the more revenue you earn. You can imagine how much he earns. I'd like to ask, do you know that we can have a Justin Bieber among us? This leads to my second point. With these systems, you can find that we can be able to earn revenue at a very young age. Let us get an example of Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber started earning millions at before the age of 20 years in 2016 when his album hit. Right now, he has a lot of money. You cannot compare to that. Who doesn't want money in future? Who doesn't want money in future? Exactly zero. Now, according to Bing.com, while many people become poor due to recognition of skills, the number of millionaires has increased by 5.2 million to 56.1 million globally. Credit Suisse research found in 2020, more than 1% of young adults worldwide were able to be millionaires for the first time. You don't have to be 40 to have millions. You don't have to be 35 to have millions. You can start at an early age. Thank you.
Honorable adjudicators, beautiful opponents, and respected audience, it has come to my realization that we have uneducated fellows on this podium. So let me be a teacher and welcome to my lesson. My name is Otieno Michael Onyango from the Ofafa Jericho High School, standing firmly to oppose motion that states African governments must adopt alternative credentialing systems that recognize and validate skills acquired outside formal education for better monetization. I've been sleeping empty naked for the past 2 weeks, analyzing how to oppose this motion. So I'd like to pick up from where my first opposition left. Firstly, I'd like to talk about the effectiveness of formal education. And by the way, one of us talked about why don't we value those students who cannot get A planes, the A's. You will only realize its importance where you are in the ICU and you find a doctor who used ChatGPT to pass his or her exams, trying to cure you. You will know the importance of having hard work on hand, because education is all about striving. You must strive to get those A's. Those are things which were invented by our fellow students. Education did not come up from heaven. Why don't you get those A's? And I'm a fully supporter because I think I get those A's. So let me start by saying formal education's effectiveness, despite the challenges that our economic growth is facing, Africa still believes that education is the key to success. I am not disagreeing about the credential systems. Did you even give us some of the example of the credential systems? You didn't. And that shows that wisdom is nothing without knowledge. Let me go directly to limited resources. How are we going to implement those skills, those systems, without us having financial stability? That will lead us to go to foreign countries to acquire debts so that we can implement such systems. And by the way, there's no need of implementing a new system. What we need is to improve our current system. Let us find how we can help those kids who doesn't score S, because I believe that all of us has the same mind. We have structural difference, but exact mind. So what I like to finish is by saying, those systems won't work. We need to embrace our educational, which is formal, and strive to change our economic growth. Thank you so much.
You think we don't have the statistics of people who even look at what credentialing that they have used for them to even qualify and move on. Okay, if you look at countries like Finland, Norway, these are countries that have already used such a method. If you look at them, in Finland, they have 64% rate of graduates in better jobs. And their economy is better than us. But look at us. Ages from 20 to 29 have 34% only. What are they doing? They're unemployed. Why? Because they're just sticking into the same method. As I continue. Let me start off with a person you know as Bill Gates, for example. 13 years, what does he do? He has already started making his own personal softwares. He's young in his youth, and then he goes to Harvard. What does he decide? No, I drop out. Why? An Ivy school dropout, and what does he become? He mounts his own Microsoftware. One of the richest people. Why would he do that? Because he has already realized that this is a system that is not working. 175,000 results from www.bingo.com analyzes how people only study to pass. Why should you only study for the reasons of, I need a good job, I get a great grade, I go to a nice school, but this isn't the case. We're just giving ourselves a limit to greater heights. If I may ask, why should you continue with something that only makes people to study, to pass an examination, but not acquire the skills and learn so we can have a better place and a better country? Thank you.
We are all looking at this from our own perspectives. Remember, we've already finished schools, but we aren't putting ourselves in the shoes of these students. So let me take this opportunity to put myself in the shoes of a student. My name is Marcus Chomba from the great Ofafa, Jericho, here to strongly oppose the motion that states that African governments must adopt alternative credentialing systems that recognize and validate skills acquired outside formal education for better monetization. First, there's no one who I would have loved to put myself in their shoes, if not, except my brother. Yeah. So my brother wants to become a farmer when he grows up. You ask me why, right? So let me tell you. As long as I can remember, my brother has always wanted to become a doctor. A doctor in the family. Just imagine that. Now, look, a farmer. And then I realized, maybe it's not his fault. It's the fault of the government. The government introduced a system that tells you that you do not need formal education. You only need your skills to pass, to succeed in life. And so I tell you this. No, do not listen to what my opponents are saying, because they are only focusing on the fact that it undermines human diversity. Yet they forget that it also undermines formal education. It undermines it in what way? You say that it undermines human diversity, that it promotes our skills in school. Yet you forget that that 74% of sub-Saharan African countries, 74%, my people, they prioritize degree, and I repeat again, degree employment. So do not forget this, that we cannot put something that undermines formal education, because we need both. Yes, I agree, we need both. But we can also not undermine formal education. To the second speaker gave us examples of ZHC, Justin Bieber. Yet you forget that these people had the capital, my people, the capital to do it, the capital to put themselves where they are today. Right now, our budget in Kenya stands at 4.2 trillion. 4.2 trillion. 4.2 trillion that's supposed to be divided among 47 counties. 47. Yes, 47. I mean it, 47. And we are trying to invest in a form of education that prioritizes skills, an education that you know is expensive. My name is Marcus, and I tell you this, that just like your points, you will be shot down even before taking off.
As I had said before, I am a fish. I can swim very well, but I cannot climb a tree. Should I be judged based on my disability to climb a tree or my ability to swim? We are not saying that formal education should be eradicated. No, not at all. That's why we are in uniforms right now. We are saying we should implement better credentialing systems alongside formal education. The third opposer here said we need both skills and formal education. Thank you for kicking the ball in my net. Thank you very much for supporting me. Yes, we need both. We need both formal and informal education. And I hope I have convinced you enough that this will help both you and me. It will end the criticism because you got an A and I got a B. It will end the criticism. Thank you, Rosemary Mo, St. Anne's Lioki.
You know, they say racism will not end in Africa unless they stop manufacturing white cars and put black tires on them. When you see yourself incapable of studying, then go open a business. But finally, you need a business manager. That is why formal education, there are those who specialize in business management. You cannot just have skills without anyone trying to put an emphasis on your skills. And that is why we have things like fraud in the skills they are talking about. Fraudness is very unique in those skills, and misrepresentation of data is also very necessary. So as I conclude, you talk about skills which are very good, but we need also to prioritize formal education. And the first proposer talked about someone going to technology. You cannot start those technology without education. Those physics students are the one who build those instruments which you use in technology. Thank you so much.
Round of applause to both teams on stage. And right now we're heading over to the judges' table for their remarks.
That was a good debate. Let's applaud the two teams on stage. I want to commend the two teams. I want to dissect this motion into parts. When we're talking about African governments must adopt alternative credentialing systems that recognize and validate skills acquired outside of formal education for better monetization. We need to ask ourselves, what is this debate about? Because what I picked from these two teams was that this was a discussion between formal and informal education. It's not. This motion is talking about recognizing skills that are acquired outside of formal education. So the first part is the credentialing is actually recognizing these skills. And then the second part is talking about monetization, such that if we recognize these skills, it will bring about a monetization aspect. You get? So this was not about whether formal education is superior to informal education. It was about governments adopting alternative credentialing systems so that we can recognize these skills that are acquired outside of formal education. And then if we do that, we are able to monetize.
Mine is to caution the debaters and the teams debating. be careful with your sources. We need credible sources. So be careful with that. Both sides, you could do better with the way you handled this motion. My colleague has told you about that.